Do your best. Let's go. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lions.
Oh my God! Victory Sunday.
The Giants look at their schedule and they go, "Oh, the Detroit Lions," and they put the big W, right?
Correct.
It's folks. It's everybody that is on the screen right now that is what makes this special, because this organization has been so bad for so long. Yet here we all are on a Sunday night at 7 o'clock, chopping it up about this football team, because winning 3 in a row and getting this done for the first time since 2017, and like Mark said, having some momentum for this fan base.
When we played against the Patriots one game on Thanksgiving, I had a pretty good game too, and it was just the atmosphere is just different. It's just there is just everybody's ready. You get a chance to wear the throwback uniforms. It was just.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think you got to have a good program, but I think the city, the way it's viewed nationally, like the people in Detroit, the business people, the money makers, the marketers, they got to market Detroit different nationally.
And here we go with the Detroit Lions news show as we lost and got mollywopped by those Chicago Bears, 28-13. Here we have Walter Stringer with Detroit Lions on Lions Avenue, and we have Joseph P. Chapp with Detroit Lions News Podcast, and we have Donnie Cleary. He's a Bruce Irving insider. Didn't get to play today. Welcome. Happy holidays, guys. Let's talk about this bullcrap game. And Joe, you started off first. Come on.
What do you want me to start off with? Like, what are we starting out with? Because what I saw today is exactly what me and Walt have been saying for the last 4 to 5, 6 weeks. Ever since that Baltimore game, Mr. Ben Johnson, Mr. Jesus, Mr. Messiah, Mr. Can't Do Nothing Wrong is once again getting glossed over while we bear Aaron Glenn to the coals, even though his defense has absolutely no talent compared to Ben Johnson's offense. Let's put that first. And you can put whatever stat you want up on the board, Darcy. Put up whatever stat you want on the board. The fact is, this offensive coordinator is not making adjustments to the things that are happening in front of them. How many third quarters are we going to come out to? And this guy still cannot scheme the third quarter. They can't scheme the third quarter. Why did they come out and then score 0 points in the third quarter for how many games were we going on? How many games are we going on? It pisses me off, because if we're gonna give Aaron Glenn the fire and brimstone, like I know my co-host Tyler does, but he's just now starting to see the light on Ben Johnson. I mean, this Ben Johnson guy has been getting away with absolute capital murder compared to Aaron Glenn. He has the best off. He has some of the most talented players on the team on his offense, and he has yet to put a considerable better game plan on the board.
Well, you're muted, buddy.
Always mute myself. Love to always pay respect. I'm kind of startled, even though the Bears have. I said prior to the season, I felt that the Bears were going to be exactly what we were a year ago. They're in year 2, year 3 of their rebuild with Justin Fields. Another head coach as Nagy's gone, but for them to look as uncompetitive as they looked in both of those games, because if we want to be honest about it, we're talking about in 2 matchups against the Bears, Goff has quarterback ratings of 61 and 54. He's got 6 turnovers. And if you want to be honest about it, they played, 5 good minutes of football a few weeks ago in that loss, and they played 1 good quarter of football today. What's also scary is how disoriented this team looks. I understand. I made a comment about it earlier on social media, and Joe pointed out he felt that it really didn't make too much of a difference. It did make a difference overall, because that prior play, I understood it should have been intentional grounding on Fields, and therefore that final play with a touchdown that turned out to be the go-ahead touchdown shouldn't have happened. But the fact is, it did happen. So, and I bring that up to bring this up. You look at the fact that Aiden Hutchinson had a situation where he jumped off sides on 4th and 13 when he shouldn't have, which led to a touchdown. It seemed to me like everything just snowballed from the opening moment. that opening drive touchdown, I thought was a big bad omen for this team. It's like, okay, the Bears jumping back out again. You can't do anything with Fields. It's like game after game with him. They can't make any adjustments. Guys are still blowing containment. Guys are still getting put in positions to make plays, and they're just not making plays. The secondary still has the issues it has with Sutton back there. Jacobs is getting burned after a lot of people felt that Jacobs was really borderline going to be possibly a Pro Bowler this season. He was leading the league in picks. That seems like so long ago. And, the penalties, the way the offensive line has been kind of in shambles as far as interior pressure on Goff the past few weeks. Granted, Ragnall's been beat up. We knew what the issue was with Ragnall coming into the season. They've had Vitae out. So the interior of that line has looked bad. I know, Darcy, you brought up Taylor Decker and how Decker's looked. And someone else brought up Decker and how Decker's kind of been getting whooped up on the past few weeks as well. Offensive lines, you got to kind of have a little leeway with them because offensive lines get beat up. Everyone's offensive line gets beat up on a year-to-year basis. And when you're a team that is predicated off the production of your offensive line, they lean on this line a lot, and they utilize this line a lot in stunts and getting guys out and pulling. They utilize their offensive line within the realm of the offense and the play calling a lot more than the other teams. So when the offensive line starts to have issues and starts to fall apart, what happens after that? They can still run the football. Montgomery and Gibbs both had 66 yards on the ground today, but Goff had another poor day. I understand he's been sacked, 14, 15 times since week 7, but the turnovers. And someone brought up a valid point about him leading the league in turnovers, 3 times, 4 times in his career. The fumbles, the interceptions. I don't really fault that final interception on him because the game was out of reach. Mm-hmm. He was just throwing the ball up. It was over with, and it's just another bad mark on his resume right now for this season. But we all knew when McNeil got hurt and Anzalone was out for a minute, we knew that the offense was going to have to carry this team. We knew that we were going to have to expect more out of Jared Goff. We knew what we had in the run game. We need guys on the outside to step up. Today was just the overall poor performance, and I'm shocked at since that Raider game. I understand they scored a lot of points against the Chargers, and that looked pretty. How good does that Charger win look right now?
Not
because
great.
after we beat the Chargers, didn't they lose like their next 3? This is a team that beat the Patriots 6-0. So that Charger win doesn't even look that good. The Chiefs are struggling their asses off right now. So how good does that Chiefs win really look right now, going back to week 1 and given the fact that the Green Bay Packers also beat them? So I'm discombobulated with this team. I don't get what's going on. Some of it has to go. If we're going to jump all over Ben Johnson and we're going to jump all over Aaron Glenn, the coordinators, where does the head coach fit in there as far as the blame?
This is the black and blue division. We expect to fight. Every division game that we play, it's never easy. But when you break it down on the box score, 8 penalties to 4, we have 3 turnovers to their none. That right there tells you all you need to know. We struggled bad. Scored 0 points in the second half. If we do not straighten out on offense, we're going to sit here and complain and cry about defense. It ain't going to matter. It's not going to matter. We got to tighten up on both sides of the ball, especially offense. That was terrible. Horrible. Maybe we need to put another quarterback in. I don't know. I like golf. Because sometimes when you're struggling, something's got to change. I kept hearing Campbell say that we got beat by a good team. They have 4 wins going in. A good team?
They're a good team.
They're a good team against us for sure.
They are a lot better than their record indicates. I'm going to give it to you like this. Since I think it was week 6, I think they're the number 1 defense. I think they're the number 1 against the quarterback. They have changed dramatically. What Walt said about them becoming us last year is entirely true. Their defense is transformed. It's way better. They're way attacking. And then they added Montez Sweat. And then, we can go back to the trade deadline because that's another thing that was a joke. You don't go for Montez Sweat. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but you didn't make the deal. You could have got Chase Young. I said when that happened, we are going to rue the day. And we are going to simply rue the day of that because we do not get pass rush. It's all Aiden Hutchinson. And now that Lee McNeil is done, now you're relying on what? Julian Okwara, Romeo Okwara, the dead body of Charles Harris. Like, again and again, they have made mistakes through and through. And it's offensively with the offensive coordinator. It's defensively with the defensive coordinator. There are certain things that they're not doing to help their teams at a disadvantage because he don't have much talent on the defensive side of the ball right now. With the Lee McNeil out is one of his best defensive linemen. It's primarily Hutch on that line, primarily. But the rest of it's just a joke. So you could say that Chicago is not a good team. They're a really freaking good team. Their defense is a really good defense. And if I'm the Lions this offseason, I'm going and I'm offering a freaking contract for Jalen Johnson right there. Because that's a legitimate cornerback. Now, your problem with this Detroit Lions team, we could talk about Goff. Goff has been terrible. So has the rest of the freaking team been terrible. This team has not played well since the Raiders game. And Walt said that too. They have not played a consistent brand of football. It's December. There's 3 weeks left. Well, there's 4 weeks left. There's 4 weeks left to salvage what you have to do. You're not at San Francisco. You're not at Dallas. You're not Philadelphia. So let's just go out there and see where the chips might lie.
It doesn't annoy anybody that the downfield attack is just non-existent. Like there's no game, there's no threat outside the numbers on the perimeter at all.
Okay,
and I would hate to think that, Jameson still isn't ready to play. It would look bad, and I don't want to just keep coming down on Goff. But he has opportunities over these past how many games has Jameson played now in his career? 14, 15, something like that total?
Yeah.
There's been plays where if the ball was a little bit further out in front or a little bit over the inside shoulder a little bit better, he could have made plays. This team leaves a lot of touchdowns on the field, man. That's something else that's annoying. They leave a lot on the field. And if they can't, I think the secret is out. Like if Detroit really can't, especially in the red zone offense, if they can't play bully ball and get you in those situations where your defensive line is playing on their heels, there's not much else going on. You got maybe a quick out to LaPorta, maybe a short dig. Every now and then, if they can't get slants and deep ends going to St. Brown, there's nothing really else coming from that. You see Josh Reynolds with a few deep outs. It's not a lot of creativity within that offense. Nope. So it makes you wonder, well, is it the offensive coordinator? Because we see situations like this a lot where the OC has some blame in it. The quarterback has some blame in it. The wide receivers have some blame in it. The selection of wide receivers you actually have within that offensive scheme in that wide receiver room has something to do with it. But if they don't open this offense up, things have gotten stale. And with the way the NFL is today, these defense coordinators, they have so much film on you. At the beginning of the season, everybody's kind of focused on them and getting their team ready, their 52-man roster together. They don't know shit about the Lions, don't know shit about the Chiefs, don't know shit about the Vikings. After 5 or 6 games, teams now have film on you. So it's almost as if you have to reinvent yourself in the middle of the regular season. This team makes no damn adjustments defensively. They have no adjustments, no answers offensively for when teams take away the middle of the field, and they have no deep threat. So teams are like, okay, you know what? Gibbs and Montgomery, they're going to gas you. They're going to get theirs. And then you got the questionable play calling. The Cole Kmet catch. I understand that they felt like they had to take a look at it. I kind of felt like in live action, he caught the ball. I didn't really understand them challenging that. Ultimately, it didn't really hurt him. But it still seems like there's bad play calling. There's bad timeout management. There's bad management of these fourth down situations. So I asked this question. Usually when teams start falling apart like this, you point to the head coach. We seem to be pointing to the coordinators more than we give Dan Campbell any heat. So how much of this is responsible for him? Because it seems to me like when he starts to fall apart, things with this team also starts to unravel. So how much of this, what we're seeing on the field, is a reflection of him?
Well, that's a great question. That's I had something else I wanted to talk about, but the Detroit Lions were winning with 14-point wins. This team cannot play from behind. That's the MO. Everybody since
Yeah.
Baltimore did it to us. Everybody wants the ball first. They win the coin flip, right? They win the coin flip. Oh, we're going to take the ball because you know what? Jared Goff cannot come back. He can't. And you have to blitz Jared Goff and him under pressure. Like Taylor Decker had a bad game back in those first 6 games. Goff had all day to throw the ball. He had tons of time. He could just pick and choose whoever he wanted. The MO on Jared Goff, or for all quarterbacks, but because he can't step up and run in the pocket, he won't do it. And if he does, he fumbles the ball. So what is the latest stat Asante said? It was like 10 touchdowns, 7 INTs, or no. Yeah,
10
7
touchdowns,
INTs.
7 picks, 6 fumbles, 15 sacks.
That's what it was. You can't win football games like that. Thank God the Minnesota fucking Vikings suck. Sorry about my French. Thank God they suck, so I can see we could get 2 more wins. We're not going to win against Dallas, and I can't wait. 6 more days, I'm going to be downtown Detroit, got a hotel room. Hopefully we can beat those Denver Broncos, but I think we can because the up-down theory in the NFL, you win one, you lose one, right? So, Donnie, what do you think about the next 4 games is my question.
I believe the Denver game is a must-win. It's our second to last game. The Dallas game is going to be tricky. It's going to be on the road. And then you have 2 bruisers, 2 against the Vikings. At best, I believe we split. 2-2, I'm hoping. I've got my fingers crossed. But what do you guys think? Is Denver a must-win?
Absolutely. I think that's the first time we've uttered those words on this podcast or any of our podcasts all season. You know, because you go 9-5 now, it's going to be damn hard to beat Minnesota twice. I don't care if they've lost 3 straight games or not. We don't know what the hell we look like against Minnesota this season because we haven't played them at all this season. So going 9-5 is damn near a death sentence because that Dallas game doesn't look. I would say back in week 4 or 5, week 6, there were like legitimate possibilities. A lot of us felt that we could go to Dallas and go head up with that team and beat them. Dallas looks like they're hitting their stride, and we look like we're going backwards right now. So if you're going to automatically give us another loss to Dallas, that's 5 losses right there. So now you're talking about having to beat Minnesota twice as well as Denver. That Denver game looks real scary. It's going to be interesting because, and I felt this way before the season started, you got Sean Payton versus Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell. So he knows those guys' tendencies more than anybody else. You know, he knows Dan Campbell. He studied under him. Aaron Glenn coached and ran his defense. He knows exactly what Aaron likes to do. Difference is Aaron doesn't have those same horses here in Detroit that he had in New Orleans. So Saturday, that game is going to be very, very interesting to see how the chess match unfolds.
Yeah, and I can say this for certain, guys. Their pass rush that they have in Denver is really freaking good. So here's the thing. You know, you could talk about the offense and how porous it's been. Obviously, we could say it's the off. I look at the offensive line and go, okay, they've been brutally bad the last couple weeks, like since the Raider game. They've been just brutally bad. I mean, I think the Chargers game, that was a good game for them, but it wasn't a good game for the defense. Like I said, they haven't put a complete game together since when?
Carolina.
Tampa Bay game, Carolina.
But the thing is, prior to that Jamison Williams dagger shot, they were still struggling with Tampa. So we might have to go back to say what Carolina when they really railroaded Carolina.
I don't consider Carolina a real team. So we're not going to go there because Carolina's not a real team.
Yeah, the Saints took them apart today.
I look at Tampa Bay. I go, okay, that's a legitimate team. They have a chance to win the NFC South. No matter what you think of them and what you think of Baker Mayfield, that defense is still pretty damn good in Tampa Bay. They won a tough game. They played a complete game. They lost their run. They lost Dave Montgomery midway through it. And they roared through it. My point to this, though, is me and you have been saying this, Walt. I mean, I've looked at the film. I've gone back on the all 22. And I'm watching teams do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and they're clouding the middle. And then there's then a couple of times a couple of times during the game they'll have like a deep shot, right? It'll be either JMO or Reynolds that will go out on maybe a post or maybe a fly. And what's happening right there is one, Goff is either getting hit or he's not seeing it, which that's a problem in its own right. And then you got another problem where why is it just happening once or twice a game? Like, why are you just doing it once or twice a game? You know, Coach Darcy said it for reality. These teams come out and they want the ball first from Detroit. They want to get the lead on Detroit because the MO has been, if you get a lead and the Detroit's offense isn't scripted, they're not going to come with this. Ben Johnson doesn't adjust when they're down. I just don't understand it. Like, you come out of, you came back and you scored 13-10. It was 13-10 at half, right? There's no points in the third quarter. There's no points in the fourth quarter. The third quarter has been a debacle ever since. I can't remember the last time they scored third quarter points. When was the last time they scored third quarter points?
Darcy, pull up the numbers. No, it's funny though, because like outside of the Charger game and the Raider game, they've been offensively like Jared Goff. Like I said, outside of the Charger and Raider game, those two anomalies right there. Since that Raven loss, his his yards per attempt has steadily went down. Like today is 4.6. 4.6 on 35 attempts is awful.
That's awful.
That makes zero sense. And for this to be one of the best teams in the NFC, top tier, not Philadelphia, not San Francisco, but record-wise they're up there. For you offensively, and this has been your offense, Ben Johnson. He came in midway through and took over for Anthony Glenn midway through. Was it season 1, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah. For you to be here as long as you've been here and know your guys and know your personnel the way you have it, it seems odd that multiple teams week after week after week can just implement the same blueprint and do the same exact thing to you. So that's a bad look for him. Bad looks also for Aaron Glenn. I don't want people to think I'm just constantly defending Aaron Glenn. But when you look at 2 games against the Bears, you gave the Bears 6 extra possessions. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
6 turnovers. And we can say, well, Goff in the first game should have had 4 picks, should have had 5 picks, whatever. Fact is, you gave the Bears multiple short fields in 2 games. You gave the Bears multiple possessions. The Bears are supposed to win. Now, whether we feel the Bears are better than us or we're better than them, Bears should have swept us. The Bears were 5 minutes away from sweeping us. And that's crazy, man, because now we all felt that at the beginning of the season, this team should probably lose, 1 divisional game? They lost 3. 3 already.
Yep.
So, yeah, I feel straight up it's a must-win against Denver because going 9-5 is going to put you in a real tight squeeze with a big-time trip to Dallas coming in Week 17, and you got 2 games against a divisional rival. They're not beating Minnesota twice in 3 weeks. I think that's something we can forget about. They're going to beat them at least once, I hope. Because if they don't sweep Minnesota, everything is going to come down to Week 18. And that's something that I think we all talked about prior to the season. I felt myself that Week 18 matchup here against Minnesota was going to decide the division. And I still believe that right now because Green Bay's got a cakewalk. Even though I still don't trust Jordan Love enough to think he's going to run the table, they're going to have a slip up, I believe, somewhere along the line. But we're in a situation right now where we better beat Denver because if we don't, that Week 18 game is going to be crucial. And you have no idea how health-wise this team is going to look at that point in time. We don't know if Goff is going to still be on the same slide. But if nobody steps up, how the hell do we expect this team to even win another game? Like these performances since these performances since the Charger game have been terrible. This ain't good enough to beat no damn body right now. The way we played the last 3 games, is that good enough to beat Denver? Do we honestly feel that right now?
Not at all. Not at all.
As crappy as Minnesota may be, is this good enough to beat them with or without Josh Dobbs?
Nope. That's why I kind of look at this like this. I'm seriously just this is the way it's gonna go from the here and out. I think everyone is on a test period right now. Like I said, coming into the year, I thought that this would be a test year for Jared Goff to see if he's your franchise quarterback. And don't even start with the Hendon Hooker bullshit. Please don't start. He's not a good quarterback. I've watched him enough. He's not a good quarterback. He won't be a good quarterback at the NFL level. Darcy, shut up.
Damn. Don't talk about your own player like that, Joe.
He's not good, man. I've watched this guy for years. Well, no, a year at Tennessee because he was at Virginia Tech. But if you watch him at Virginia Tech, he was awful too. Guy was awful.
Everything was awful at Virginia Tech.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing: I don't like. Hendon Hooker has when his comps are Mobile, Bryce Petty, and Desmond Ridder. That should ring a bell for you, loud and clear.
Who the hell said that?
Oh, these are NFL guys, NFL.com guys.
Well, Darcy compares him to Warren Moon, so there you have it.
Well, Darcy compares a lot of people to Warren Moon. It's like, come on,
dude. I was there in 1991. I'm 51. I'm 50 years old, and you're 30. I got 20 more years of Lions history under my belt. I coached 8 years. I coached quarterbacks. Dude. I've been offered CFL jobs, dude.
Hey, I want to ask you guys something. So, what if hopefully it doesn't happen. We got a full week to break down Denver and that matchup, but what if there's another bad performance out of Goff? Because the heat is on now. People were already calling for Hendon Hooker midway through the season. Well, not midway through the season, but at least midway through this game right here. What if it happens? Like, what if the bottom falls out? And God forbid this team misses the playoffs or this team loses. You know what I'm saying? Something like that happens because it's possible. It can happen to anybody. You know, that's why I think you can't take anything for granted in the NFL right now, because when you have the opportunity, this goes back to the trade deadline. When you have the opportunity to make your team better, you jump on it. Mm-hmm. This was not a team to feel that comfortable about. Now, we have no idea how Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell feels about this season going into the next season. Maybe they felt at the trade deadline like, you know what? We look across the table at San Francisco, Philly, see them pushing their chips all in. No, it's too rich for our blood. We'll play this season out, see what we got, reevaluate our team in the offseason prior to the draft, and then we'll move from there. But for them to not make any moves at all, I think kind of set things up for what it is right now.
Man, there's a lot of stupid people out there. Go watch the film. How about that? Hooker's not going to be good. Just watch.
Man, you should at least hope he's good, man.
No, he won't. I've said this from the day they drafted him.
So what do you do then? Do you draft a quarterback?
I absolutely draft a quarterback. If Goff shows that he is not the effing person, this was not the year to draft a quarterback. Hendon Hooker is not the freaking answer. The fact of the matter is they wasted a fucking third-round pick on Hendon Hooker and Broderick Martin because neither of them do shit. And we could have got a Kobe Turner. We could have got a Byron Young. But no, we're stuck with Hendon Hooker on the bench whose ball placement at Tennessee wasn't that great. If you watch some of his throws, Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt got those balls that should have been picked off. And in the NFL, they will be picked off. I wouldn't have drafted Hendon Hooker. I would have went into this draft. There's Jaden Daniels. There's J.J. McCarthy. There's a ton of quarterbacks. And even if you want to play the spin the Rattler wheel, okay, let's spin the Rattler wheel, see what happens. Or go make a trade for a quarterback. That's what you do. You don't rely on Hendon Hooker. If Hendon Hooker was so effing good, why did a bunch of teams who need quarterbacks pass on him? Tell me. Someone tell me. Someone. Anybody. You can't. Because this league sucks at quarterbacks. There's a ton of teams that need quarterbacks, and they passed on Hendon Hooker. Why? Why did they pass on Malik Willis? Oh, because he sucks. It showed at Tennessee.
I think part of it is the fact that Hendon's old by NFL standards.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, and he was coming off the ACL. If we're talking about Anthony Richardson coming off of ACL, if we're talking about C.J. Stroud coming off of ACL, I think teams would have been more inclined to take a gamble because they're younger players and the ceiling is higher. The ceiling just isn't as high with Hendon Hooker. And I agree to a certain extent. I think we don't see it that often with not young guys, but these 25-year-old quarterbacks, 24, 25-year-old quarterbacks coming out of college, seniors, fourth, fifth-year seniors. We don't have any proof of those guys actually hitting the ground running and actually being anything. We just get a lot of bad play from a lot of these guys, whether it's Desmond Ridder or it's Kenny Pickett. We've seen a lot of those 24, 25-year-old quarterbacks just not be able to get things done in the NFL. So when you don't see it happen, it's kind of hard for you to have any faith in it happening for your team. But is it possible we got a good enough team in place for Hendon Hooker?
No.
We haven't seen Hendon Hooker play within our offense.
No.
You saw him at Tennessee under Josh Heupel's offense. This ain't Josh Heupel's offense. He hasn't even been given an opportunity to show what he can do within this offense.
Here's what I'll say about Hendon Hooker. This is literally what I'd say. I like Hendon Hooker too. I like Hendon Hooker the player. I think Hendon Hooker the player, he's great. I think of him at the NFL level, I think he's going to have distinct challenges as a quarterback. I do. And if you think it's just me hating on Hendon Hooker, I hate quarterbacks after the second round. I literally hate quarterbacks after the second round. The hit rate on quarterbacks after the second round is very, very slim. There is only 4 quarterbacks that you can specifically name in the last 10 years who you say Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott. If you want to name Sam Howell, you can. And then I think I'm missing another one. But that's the hit rate. The hit rate is the hit rate. And this league needs effing quarterbacks. Like, I don't understand what you guys don't understand. These people in the comments are freaking insane. Just imagine the Atlanta Falcons needing a quarterback. No, we're going to rely on Desmond Ridder and freaking Taylor Heineke. Can you imagine being an Atlanta fan? No. Can you imagine the Baker Mayfield reclamation project, the Derek Carr reclamation project? Like, come on, dude. Like, this whole league sucks at quarterbacks. The whole league sucks at quarterbacks. There's 10. We're talking about Jared Goff potentially being a top 10 quarterback because why? The league sucks. And if there's a need for a quarterback, they would take him. You know what? Bridgewater cannot do anything that Goff does or Hooker does. Go watch Miami last year. Underthrowing it.
So,
I derailed this whole thing. My bad.
No, that was good. That was great. Awesome. That was awesome. I had to take, but you just distracted me there. So that was pretty good. That was a good take. Walter is the take master. Let me think about it again. You go on, buddy. You want to feed off that? Oh, you're muted again.
Yeah, I got it. Well, bright side, Jack Campbell's had back-to-back good games.
I remember now.
Yeah, Jack's had back-to-back good games. So
Jack Campbell has that good game.
Hey, listen. Hey, Joseph. What? I had Jeff Risdon on just before the draft, and he predicted that he's the guy who goes to all the Senior Bowls. He's a top NFL scout for like 4 NFL teams. He used to scout all lines, I think it is. Jeff Risdon, he's big time, right?
I know Jeff Risdon.
Okay, he's been doing this a long time. He had him as the number 2 quarterback in this fucking draft,
which is insane.
But is insane. Do you go to the Senior Bowl, Joseph P. Chap?
I don't need to go to the Senior Bowl, and I could have gone to the Senior Bowl, but I'm not going to watch a bunch of spots. Here's the thing.
Are you an NFL scout?
I did an interview for some, so yeah. So what are we getting at? Are we saying that Jeff Risdon, because he said it's gospel? Because last time I checked, there were 31 other teams that passed on Brady 5 times. So do you want to keep going with this? Because this is another thing. Like you can keep banging that drum, Darcy, all you want about Hendon Hooker. You can keep banging the drum all you want about Hendon Hooker. What I'm saying is the hit rate is on my side. The hit rate is on my side.
You're right. I 100% agree with you. After the first round, even the top of the second round, you notice it's like if you're going to get your guy, you're going to get your guy in the first round. Top of the first round at that. So, I mean, he doesn't have history on his side. I do get that. But what are the odds of us seeing him this year?
I mean, if Jared Goff keeps playing the way he's playing, potentially, maybe. I mean,
Goff has been pretty durable in his career. But the offensive line hasn't played well as of late either. So hopefully he doesn't suffer any injuries. But
this team hasn't played good, and if Jared Goff continues to play like he's played lately, I'm going to say this without question, I'm not extending him. So that's it. I know Darcy comes out here and says, "Oh, you're a Jared Goff lover. Oh, you love Jared Goff." I've said since the beginning, Darcy, that Jared Goff is on a time trial. This is it. This four game stretch is huge for him, and it's huge. And if we go into the playoffs and we get beat with a home playoff game, you can't extend him. Period. You go into next year and you play it. You just play it out.
What
happens if
we don't get a playoff game? Like, I got the deadline email yesterday, and I did not renew the playoff tickets because it was going to cost me like $1,200. They were asking for the wild card game, they were asking for the divisional round, and they were asking for the NFC Championship at twice the price. It was going to cost me somewhere near like $1,500 for nosebleeds. So I didn't have confidence. I thought, okay, we might get the wild card game, hosting a first playoff game since 1993, I guess. So I just I'm going to save the money because I just don't feel good, because I had an inkling and I predicted to Walter 28-17 and it was 28-13, so even worse. So I'm kind of feeling heavier in my pocketbook for Christmas here. Donnie, we have to hear from you. Do you have something you want to say?
Trying to be as positive as I can. If I want to look at today as a bright spot, I thought our defensive line in the second quarter looked really good. I mean, we rushed the quarterback a lot better than we have the last few weeks. The turnovers killed us, I think. The offense, a lackluster performance from our offense, it ultimately killed us. But I'm hoping that the next 4 games we're competitive. We get some key guys back. I don't know the injury status of a lot of these guys. Hopefully James Houston comes back. We desperately need him. I don't know. I'm hopeful. 2-2. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling.
I think a lot of stuff just got exposed over the past few weeks, especially today. Jaquan Brisker, safety for Chicago, to have 17 tackles. Usually when safeties, especially box safeties, have 17 tackles, that many damn tackles, that means your yards per play ain't up that high, man. So they have to figure out a way to generate bigger plays. We don't get any easy points. If you take a look around the NFL, I'm pretty sure a lot of fans, Lions fans, NFL fans in general, watch a lot of Red Zone on Sundays. So you get the opportunity to, while you're watching the Lions on one station, flip back and forth, see what's going on in other games. While other teams get 58-yard touchdowns here and there, 65-yard touchdowns, a 70-yard touchdown here and there, everything has to be manufactured. All of our big plays are manufactured. And if you look at today, and I was talking to Ashanti earlier during the game, when it was 13-10, it just felt like, okay, it's going to be another game like Tampa. Like, we just need that dagger shot. Whether it's a big play to Jameson Williams, or it's a long run by Montgomery or Gibbs, or a big play downfield to Laporte on some blown coverage. If teams don't give us anything, we don't get anything. And that's so disappointing to me, because the elite teams, okay, you know what? We do this well. You guys adjusted to it, but we got this wrinkle. We got that wrinkle. We're stuck right now offensively just taking whatever defenses allow us to have. And if that's how we're going to finish the season out, man, you're talking about maybe, 10-7? Yep. Which is what I originally had them predicted at. Prior to the season, I had Denver. I had Green Bay and Detroit both at 10-7, and us winning the tiebreaker. But we don't even have the tiebreaker now because we split with them. So now you're talking about divisional records and records within the NFC and this and that, and you lost the tiebreaker to Seattle, but we have no idea what Seattle's going to turn out to look like down the stretch. So all of this makes Dallas even more important.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said, Walt, this stretch right here with Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, and Minnesota again. This is your season. Like, if you want to sit here and talk about what the Lions could accomplish in the playoffs, you want to talk about what the Lions could do, potentially just getting in the playoffs and then having a shot, because you never know what happens when you get in the playoffs. But this is your shot right here. You can either close it out and act like a real good team, or you could be a garbage team and just let it go by the wayside. And the way they played the last couple weeks, they'd be lucky to beat Denver, they would be lucky to beat Minnesota, and they'd be lucky to beat Dallas. That's just the reality. They keep playing like they have, they're not going to win a game from here on out. They have to play a lot better, period. I don't know what's gone into this offense where they can't make these simple adjustments, especially like when I'm watching a Saints game. I didn't get to watch the whole Saints game because I had the hockey and everything. But when I went back and watched it, and I watched some of the things that they did on offense in the third quarter and then the fourth quarter, it was the same damn thing. It was not good enough. It wasn't schemed out well. And New Orleans knew whatever they were doing, and they kept up. The one thing I thought was interesting is the Saints did something that I seen the Bears do today, I seen the Packers do, and I seen the Raiders do after that Ravens game. They are putting box safeties in at all times. So how do you beat that? You got to go over the top. And I know people say, "Oh, Jared Goff doesn't have the arm," but if you can get Jameson Williams loose, you do it. Now, another thing about that, Goff missed Jameson Williams today that could have been probably 20, 30 yards, but he threw it behind him, or it was kind of like off the side. And that's what I talk about with ball placement, with the, you know, that's one of the major things you talk about in a quarterback is ball placement. Where do you put the ball? Do you put the ball on the right side of the receiver, or do you have to make him reach back to get it? Like that's crucial.
So the last topic here, because I want to get ready for this Dallas Cowboys or Cowgirls and Philadelphia Eagles game. I think this is going to be the game of the week. I'll be watching the Packers lose, hopefully in MetLife Stadium. And this question was for last week, and I also have a programming note that we have Anthony Cannon, former Lion, was drafted in 2006. Coming on the show on Wednesday with John Macroon, Walter Stringer, Joe Chapp, and more. Who do you want to play in the playoffs? You saw the Rams lose to the Baltimore Ravens today.
Are we going to get there?
Hang on, Donnie. Who won that game against San Francisco?
49ers won.
Okay, so who is in the running to play us in that first wild card game?
Packers, Vikings, Rams.
The Rams and Seahawks are both 6 and 7 right now.
What happened with the score of the Vikings and
3-0.
Raiders? Who won?
Vikings, 3-0.
Oh, fuck. So the Vikings are still in contention.
Nothing. Wait. This deserves its own credit. They won a game 3-0.
Yeah.
What is this, hockey? That's amazing. That's amazing, dude. 3-0 in a football game. Like, what are we doing, dude?
The Chargers won 6-0 last week.
See, that's
got to be some first in NFL history. Back-to-back weeks, 6-0, 3-0.
I mean, if you
what's next? 2-0. Who's gonna win 2-0 next week?
If you would have put 3-0 on a FanDuel, I bet you would have been like plus 30.
Oh yeah.
What was the over/under for that game? Oh my God!
They went way under. I think the over/under was like 36.5. They weren't even close.
Okay, so
that's
the Vikings
crazy.
are
a total of 9 points scored in 2 NFL games.
Dude, that's insane. I don't even know if you'd have to go back and just see who like.
That's Iowa bad.
That's Iowa bad. Yeah, that's why I keep talking about what these. I keep talking about the NFL, man. Like this quarterback play across the NFL is absolute ass. Like
especially after you get past the starters.
Well, let's get past the top 10, and then you got just ass galore. I mean, we got Tommy DeVito starting for the Giants. I know, Walt, you don't like. I know people don't like Jordan Love, but Jordan Love has played pretty good football.
Nah, I like Love. He's okay.
But I loved Jordan Love when he came out of college. I thought he was going to be great, and he's kind of proved my point right now. But I look at like Tommy DeVito, look at Aiden O'Connell, Joshua Dobbs, and Nick Mullins, that tandem, which is not good at all. It's like, man, this quarterback is just garbage. It just shows that this league struggles with quarterbacks, and we're watching right now Buffalo and Kansas City go head to head, two elite quarterbacks, and it's a good game. Why? Because they're a good quarterback. But the defense is caught up to the offenses, obviously, though.
I think the quarterback situation is similar to the offensive line situation in the league right now. Like, it's hard to get really good depth at offensive line as well as quarterback. You know, that's why I think moving forward, the offensive line play has been good in this league as well this season, especially on the interior. So I envision a lot of guards being overpaid this offseason in free agency. You can expect guards to start getting drafted higher in the draft as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think once you get past the starters, whether we like Jimmy Garoppolo or not, I think the Raiders, well, there's no telling how good the Raiders would have been as long as Josh McDaniels would have remained as the coach. But I have to believe the Raiders would have been a little bit better with Jimmy Garoppolo. Just a little bit. Not that much. But, yeah, I mean, once you get past the starters, even the second tier and third tier starters are still capable of winning you games. You look at the Colts. Now, they got smashed today by Cincinnati, but Cincinnati is a better team. The Colts just find ways to win games. So if you don't have elite quarterback play, you got to have really good coaching. You got to have a really well-rounded, sound team. That's one thing I do believe the Colts have. But, yeah, the quarterback play is looking real shabby right now. I don't know what to really make of it. Quarterbacks are getting injured down the stretch. You can believe it's like clockwork. Over the next 4 weeks, a couple of starters are going to go down. It happens every year, late December. Hopefully it's not ours. I know some Lions fans out there that want to see Hendon Hooker really bad, kind of hope Jared Goff goes down or whatever. Listen, I want to see the playoffs. It would be heartbreaking to see this team start 9-3 and miss the playoffs. And it would be bad for the morale of this city over the offseason for this team to go Jekyll and Hyde like that. It's almost in reverse to what it was last season. They started really slow at the beginning of the season. Second half of the season finished strong. This season they started strong. Now they seem to be kind of wheezing down the stretch. So for this team to not make the playoffs, I think would be very, very tragic. And you're looking at a situation where you're going to lose confidence in your head coach. You know, just being honest about it, on a year-to-year basis as a head coach, the way fans view you in that city is based upon what you've done recently. And if this team starts 9-3 and screws around and doesn't make the playoffs, that would be an epic collapse, man. Epic.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had them at 9-7 or 10-7? You had them at 10-7?
Yeah. Before the season started, I had them and Green Bay both finishing 10-7.
Yeah, so I don't want my prediction to come true. You know, my prediction was 9-8, the same as last year. I don't want that to come fucking true. You know that. I don't want it to come true.
9-8.
That's what that I said we're going to have the same record as last year.
Looking at the standings.
So then there's no improvement.
No, what I said is we had one less home game. We had a tougher schedule. I didn't think we were going to beat Kansas City. I thought the first quarter of the season, and we're going to talk about the last quarter of the season in the last segment, and then we're going to cut it off because I want to get ready to watch this game. Opponents in the division, but you know that first quarter, you know, I had them at 1-3. Last quarter, I had them at 4-4. You know, winning the last 4 games because I wasn't high on Minnesota. I wasn't high on Dallas. I wasn't high on Green Bay at all. But you know what? They're starting to prove me wrong. And looking at that 9-8 prediction that I put out there, and I'm kind of always right. Joe, take notes here because I'm kind of always right.
No, you're not.
No, but Donnie, do you have something to say off that, and then we'll go on the last subject, and then we'll shut this shit down.
Yeah.
Make sure you tune in on Wednesday. It's going to be a huge, epic show. We have 2 segments, one with John Macaroon and all the podcasters, and then a special edition of Stevenson High School. How many players that came out, and former Lion Anthony Cannon is coming on, and we're going to talk about all the kind of draft kind of implications and shit like that. But Donnie, you talk about it.
Well, what I would say was Kansas City just lost, so that makes the Denver game that much more intense. Now they're 1 game behind Kansas City for their division. lead.
Ooh-wee.
So, add a little fuel to
Ooh-wee. Oh, boy.
I told people this when the last New Orleans. Okay, New Orleans was the start of it. Every team but the Bears was fighting for something. Every team was fighting for something, and even the Bears, they're fighting for pride. Basically, that's basically what it comes out to. But like I look at the Broncos, I looked at them and I said they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to come close to making the playoffs, and that's a tough game. And then you got Minnesota that's scrappy as hell, and then you got Dallas who's good. So you're going to have to earn your money if you're Detroit. You're just going to have to earn it, and it's not going to be given to you, and you shouldn't have it be given it to you. And if you're a good team, if Jared Goff is a good player, he earns it. If Ben Johnson's a head coach candidate, like we all hear that he's the Messiah, then he goes and earns it. And if Aaron Glenn, starts making defensive adjustments and not allowing a 4th and 13 play, then we can start making cases that they're doing a good job. But right now, they're not going to make the playoffs if they do this. So that's just the facts.
I'll come back on if nobody wants to talk because I have to get the gab here and I'm kind of, showing the youngins that I know more than they do, right? So Hendon Hooker is going to be this quarterback of the future and book it. And you could, we agree to disagree, don't we? I love you, brother. But we agree to disagree.
How much Hendon Hooker did you watch?
About a minute.
Exactly. I watched about 9-10 games of Hendon Hooker.
Darcy, you watch college football. I know you watch more than a few minutes of Tennessee.
All I need to see is 1 minute. I could see how the ball comes out of their hand. I could see if their knees bent. I could see if they're ready to play football. I could see. I coach. I've went to clinics.
These coaches,
NFL coaches are at these clinics telling me what to do, and I'm relaying it, and I learn.
I don't care if you coach. Because there's coaches in the NFL that thought that Ryan Leaf was going to be a good quarterback too. So what are we talking about?
Okay, so you're just an armchair podcaster then?
No, I'm making.
Get on the goddamn field and coach. Go to Michigan State and get on that field.
But I don't want to coach because
you tell him to go to Michigan State. Can he start at high school first?
No, I'm telling you, he has a media access. He can go to Michigan State and get access to that goddamn field. This guy's big time. He's big time. He's big. Oh, I got to point the other way.
I don't want to coach because I don't want to coach.
Then you learn football. Then
I know football.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Jared Goff is going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I'm being a dick. I'm sorry. I got to jump.
If golf falters down the stretch. Get ready because the quarterback competition will be open over this offseason.
Get back on here, Darcy. I'm on you. Get back on here, Darcy. I'm be candid and honest with you right now. I never said that Jared Goff is like this greatest quarterback of all time. He is not the greatest quarterback of all time. What I did say is that he needs to freaking get his act together, and he has a year to prove it. And now you're saying that.
No, you didn't say that. Back in May, when I said I wanted to draft the Ohio State quarterback, and you said, "Oh shit, now he's producing here." Now the tables have turned. I said I would at number 6.
Keep tripping over your words.
I had a couple drinks. I have to I have to sour my fucking loss. This is what I do. But being right is making it. I talked to Avery earlier, and he said, "Yeah, it feels so good, jackass. Don't fucking do that to me. I'm the producer."
No, look, you can't just jump off when you're trying to figure it out. Like the reality of the situation is that I was right the whole time, but now Darcy wants to play soft, so we'll be okay.
Well. Like I said, I mean, if the bottom falls out and this team misses the playoffs.
If Jared Goff plays like ass the last 3 games or 4 games.
Competition's open.
Get his ass out of here. Period.
How do you do it, though?
I'm fluid with it. Well, you know what?
Who's going to take him in a trade if he performs? He already has a bad reputation around the league, and if he shits the bed these final 6 games of the season, who's going to take him?
Well, that's my whole point. Like, I wanted him to do good today. I didn't predict
Me
him
too.
to win.
I wanted him to do good all season.
You know
I want
why?
to see a
Because I
home
want to
playoff
draft
game.
him. I want to draft. I want to get draft picks for him. If I could get a third for him, that would have been better. Because I don't see the athletic ability. I don't see a Justin Fields. I don't see that in the NFC North. Who is the best quarterback in this division? Justin Fields?
I mean, he's not a difference maker.
Justin Fields has proven it.
He's a good quarterback as long as everything around him is running well. That's what he is.
I wanted to draft Justin Fields.
Well, you'd be out of luck because guess what? He needs to be in the right offense, like literally the right offense. You know the best offense.
His accuracy is terrible, man.
You know who would be the best offense for Justin Fields, and I mean this is all sincerity, is Atlanta. That would be the best offense. But you know what? Chicago will never trade him to Atlanta. I'll tell you why. Because they don't want to look like shit to people. Because if they trade him to Atlanta, he's gonna ball the hell out, and especially in that Arthur Smith offense.
Yeah, I said that earlier in the week. I think that teams tend to bad teams when they fail a quarterback. The last thing they want to do, the last thing they want to see, is that guy leave and go somewhere else and make them look bad.
They'll send him to a situation
like Zach Wilson. If the Jets decide to move on from Zach Wilson, they're not sending him somewhere where he can be good. That won't happen. That won't happen at all.
No. I don't even. That's a loaded question. Who's the best quarterback in the NFC North? I mean, Jared Goff by default.
Who is?
Goff by default.
Jordan Love. If he leads his team to the playoffs,
Kirk Cousins.
Him. Yeah, Kirk was statistically the best quarterback in the league before that injury.
Right. Let me put it this way: who is the best athletic quarterback in the division?
That doesn't win you. Okay. I know a lot of people struggle with this sometimes, but athleticism at quarterback matters to a certain point. It also matters because Justin Fields is the most athletic quarterback in this division. He misses a lot of fucking throws. A lot of throws that he should make.
Yeah.
There was one throw that he missed today to DJ Moore that was it was the easiest throw that you can make as a quarterback, and he sails it over the guy. Like, are you kidding me? So you could Darcy, you could talk about athleticism all you want, but the reality of the situation is the quarterback's got to be able to throw the freaking ball. He's got to be able to throw the ball. That's what it comes down to. And the reason that Jalen Hurts has excelled with Philadelphia in the last 2 years is because he's learned to go back in the pocket, make the right throws, and then when things do break down, he gets outside the pocket and makes things happen. You got to be able to throw the ball. Period. End of story. I don't care about athleticism. I don't care about what he does at his 40 time. Go screw yourself. One of the reasons I didn't like Anthony Richardson is because I watched some of his. I watched him at Florida, and I'm watching him just sail balls over his receivers. The reason I like C.J. Stroud, he was accurate as hell. Like, I loved C.J. Stroud coming out. I thought Bryce Young would be good, but he went to Carolina where he was absolutely given absolutely nothing to work with. That's what it comes down to.
I think Anthony Richardson was showing some pretty good signs prior to the injury.
He was showing pretty good signs. The problem. See, here's the problem. I think that you look at Jalen Hurts. I think you look at Anthony Richardson. I think you look at Josh Allen, and you look at them as a quarterback, and you go, okay, the way that they play the game, with the way that they run the ball, the way that they make things happen, how much time do they got left? Because when you play that physical brand of football, like even Josh Allen, I watch Josh Allen all the time, and he's gone through some pretty real injuries going down the stretch. Like last year, I think he had an elbow injury, and that's part of the real. Like if you take all these hits, eventually you're just gonna get wrecked. Like it's the way it is. Like look at running backs; they don't get paid. Why? Because they get wrecked to shit. Like I look at Richardson the same way. Like his reason his year ended so early was because of him running the ball, and that's one of the reasons I look at Anthony Richardson and go, okay, if he can't pass the ball and you make him throw it. Like the one thing I can say about Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen is when they are hurt and when they are compromised, because I think Jalen Hurts is hurt right now. I really do. The way he's kind of gingerly playing the game, he can still throw the ball.
So my granddaughter I could hear her little footsteps upstairs there. Keys to the game to beating Denver, and then we're going to finish the show off. We'll go one at a time. Thanks, Donnie. This is Donnie's third time, and Joe and Walt have been on every show. Make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. This is going to be an epic show starting at 7:30 with Sports Illustrated, John Macaroon, Walter Stringer from Lions Avenue, and Joe Chapp at Detroit Lions News Podcast. Please subscribe to the Detroit Lions News show on YouTube. We're down to 9 viewers now. Let's talk about that, man.
Key to Saturday's game against the Broncos, turnovers. Don't turn the ball over. Play sound defense. I think if we don't turn the ball over and our offense can wake up, we have a chance. That's my keys.
My keys are simple. Be disciplined, and then protect the passer. Because I look at this Denver Broncos pass rush, and I go, they can do some damage to this offensive line the way that they're playing right now. And the discipline is based on this is probably the most undisciplined team I've seen in quite some time with Dan Campbell, because they're running outside the rush lanes once again. I see the offensive line getting lazy. Like, this is just a day in and day out thing. And then the coordinators need to be better. So just play a freaking complete game, okay? Just play a complete game. I'm sick of doing it. I'm sick of doing it.
I think defensively against Denver, split coverages, as far as, well, they don't call a lot of split coverages, but I think in order to contend with Denver in the passing game, they're going to have to call a decent amount of split coverages, the right ones, because you're looking at an offense right there in Denver with some guys that can make plays downfield. Sutton's been hot as of late. Judy's come on after he's had that issue in that run-in with Steve Smith, so he's played a lot better. Russ will still push the ball down the field. They've ran the ball better as of late. They've protected Russ better as of late. Denver seems to really be hitting their stride right now, but this secondary, this is something I'm really terrified of, because this receiving room of Denver is a horrible matchup for us right now. Mm-hmm. Sutton out there size-wise is going to be too much for anybody we can really throw at him. Judy is too quick, even though Judy will put the ball on the floor from time to time, but route running-wise, Judy's too quick. Judy's too quick as far as those deep outs, as far as those deep posts, everything pretty much. Judy isn't going to run too many 9 routes, whatever, but being able to handle those receivers is key. Because once again, if we fall behind to Denver, it's going to be rough. It's going to be real rough getting uphill. Offensively, this team right here needs to play mistake-free football. Piggybacking off what Donnie just said, get back to, first and foremost, protecting the football and limiting these penalties. This team is bad right now in the penalty department. They're bad in the turnover department right now. If they can just do the simple things like playing clean football, limiting the penalties, making those turnovers non-existent, because they can still run the football. The problem is today, if they didn't have those few mistakes that they had and fell behind the 8 ball again to Chicago the way they did a few weeks ago, they probably could have just ran the ball down Chicago's throats in the second half and won. But they're not going to beat Denver at least getting shut out in the second half of a game again. That's not going to happen. They need to figure out how to score, because that Denver Broncos secondary has been giving receivers fits as of late as well. So you're talking about the pass game, which has been one of our limitations on both sides of the ball. Defensively, we've been giving up a lot of big plays downfield. Even though DJ Moore didn't get over 100 yards today, he still torched us overall within Chicago's offense. Chris Olave had, 5 catches for 116 a week ago. We're letting guys really burn us deep. Bad. And when you look at Denver, Denver's got 3 guys out there that any of those guys can catch over 100 yards and really give us problems. So, and like I said, as far as on the offensive side of the ball, you're talking about Patrick Surtain, you're talking about, this is a loaded secondary right there, man. So it's going to be rough. I think we're going to discuss the game at with more totality as the week unfolds. But as of right now, it's a must win, but the cards are really stacked against this team, I think, against Denver.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for everybody that subscribed to the YouTube channel, Detroit Lions News Show. All the guys that are hanging in here. Walter, do you want to make a plug? Joe, do you want to make a plug? I see you're yawning.
I'm good. I got
Here we go. You got a headache. I know because golf's not your guy, is he?
Do your best. Let's go. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3. Lions.
Oh my God.